Your website is either your best salesperson or your biggest roadblock. In B2B, where the average deal cycle can stretch for months, your website has about 10 seconds to prove that your business is worth a serious conversation.
Oh, you know what?
Dumbest marketing move ever. I'm out.
And so in this video, we're going to break down exactly how to build a B2B website that consistently books qualified sales calls, from the copywriting and the video sales letter to the structuring and the tech stack that you need to analyze and upgrade the website over time. More importantly, you're going to understand why most websites fail to convert visitors into calls, demos, and subscribers, and how very small targeted changes can fix it. If you guys want more clients, more sales, and marketing that actually works, you should subscribe, because that's what all my videos are built to help you do. So what is the real goal of a B2B website? So for an established B2B company, your website is not a brochure, it is a sales asset. The primary goal is to either book you sales calls or demos for your product or service, right? That means it needs to do 5 things very quickly. To educate prospects on what you do, guide them through your offer logically, prove with case studies that it works, remove doubts and objections, and make booking a call frictionless, right? So every headline, every button, every testimonial should push towards that outcome. In the 21st century, with our very short attention spans, rising skepticism with all the markets and offers maturing, and crowded markets in general, a website that doesn't convert at least 3 to 4% of qualified traffic into calls or demos is a liability. First here, we're going to talk about some common misconceptions that are killing your website, right? So firstly is just talking about you. So prospects don't care about your mission statement or whatever wordy explanations your company can dream up. They care about the outcomes of the service that you are selling, right? Secondly is that fancy design will give you high conversions.
Squilliam fancy, son, from band class?
Right, so no animation and no parallax scroll is gonna fix your incongruent positioning or your poor website copy, right? And research backs this up. So Marketing Experiments confirms on several different occasions that pages with one call to action are always going to beat complex websites by a over 30% conversion rate, right? Thirdly is that contact us pages are better than calendar links. So nothing slows down sales like email back and forth. And I think a lot of us should already know this, right? A direct booking link is going to win 90% of the time. But there are some occasions that might necessitate email, like if you're in a very highly regulated or complex vertical. So a good example of that is if you're in government contracting, that might have a higher close rate if you allow the prospect to outline, their compliance requirements, security clearances, subcontractors, and whatnot before the sales call. Because that's going to avoid, number one, you having to waste a ton of time on the phone, trying to discover what it is that the company does and, the surrounding complexities legally. And two, the prospect is going to be less hesitant to actually get on the call with you because of that, right? And lastly, thinking that the headline and video sales letter are unimportant, or you don't need to, nail either of those. Those two elements are 80% of your site's conversion influence, and if you miss them or they're not, up to par, the rest of the website doesn't matter at all. Now, a quick note here on website platform and technical setup. So for early stage or lean teams, it's way more important to focus on refining your product or service rather than building a wicked complex website, right? You should be using a very simple builder like Card or TypeDream to get a very clear and functional structure. And then later on, you can upgrade to Webflow or WordPress once you have the team, resources, etc. that you need to scale, right? For domains and hosting, you always want to make sure that you buy a clean domain, ideally .com, .net or .io, and invest in solid hosting, because slow load times are always going to kill your progress, right? Make sure you buy it from Squarespace domains. That'll give you the easiest domain setup. Now, this document is going to be available for you to download for free in the description, and that link here in blue is my referral link to Card. So if you choose to try out that platform for your company, I will get a kickback. Next, we can talk about branding and colors for your website. So we want to stick to one primary brand color and some shades, and then maybe one accent color for your calls to action and other buttons. Here are some links to some various color palette generators that you guys can use. And also, we want to make sure that our text should almost always be black or white for readability. And we want to use subtle color shifts between sections, white to light gray, and that will signal a content change without overwhelming our visitors' eyes, right? Keep graphics simple and consistent within your color palette, because over animation will always distract the user from the content that is on the page. B2B is not the place where you should be expressing your design skill. There's no need to be adding complex scroll, hover, and loading effects when the goal is message clarity and selling your service. Now we can talk about page structure. So a high converting B2B website doesn't need to be 20 pages deep. It just needs to move a visitor through a logical thought train. And here's how we do that. So first we have a very simple navigation bar. So we only include the essentials, your process, frequently asked questions, testimonials, and book a call with you. And then we have our headline and video sales letter. This is the cornerstone of the homepage. It's where you describe your offer. Then we can go to our benefits. So we use graphics and very clear descriptions of what it is that you do. Then we can explain our process. So, showing the step-by-step behind the results that you get. Then we can move into social proof, so showing our testimonials, our case studies, ideally with quantifiable outcomes. We're going to get into all of these in more detail in a minute. And then we can have a frequently asked questions section, so remove more of the objections before they get on Zoom with you. And then we can embed our booking link, whether that's from Calendly, Acuity, or your CRM's calendar. So this structure is going to use the principle of cognitive fluency, because people are way more likely to trust and then act on information when it's presented in a sequential flow that feels easy to follow. Here we're going to talk about your headline and your offer. So your headline on your website is just your offer condensed into one line, and this is the formula you should use. We do insert service for insert customer in insert time frame with insert guarantee. Now the service must save money, make money, or save time. The customer should be your exact ideal client profile. The time frame, just how long it takes to see a return on investment. And the guarantee is your risk reversal. So pay as it works, free until they get a result or their money back, right? An example of this would be, we generate at least $50,000 in additional monthly revenue through email marketing for CPG brands within 90 days, or you don't pay. So that being said, not every offer is going to neatly fit into that framework. So for example, if you run a compliance auditing firm, you probably aren't going to be able to guarantee a specific revenue within a time frame because your value lies in reducing legal risk, right? So in a case that is similar to that, it's much better to be direct and just state what you do in plain terms and then anchor it to your customer's main goal, right? So we could say protecting mid-sized financial institutions from million-dollar fines by keeping you fully compliant with federal regulations. Next, we can talk about the video sales letter. So all this is you on camera explaining the sales argument for why someone should use your product or pay you for your service, right? This is a non-negotiable in the 21st century. Your video sales letter needs to call your audience and their pain points, describe the big result that you deliver, insert social proof and case studies, explain your process at a high level, and then end with a direct call to action, either book a call or book a demo, right? You want to keep this face-to-face with camera on and screen share, right? Because buyers today expect transparency and authenticity more than they ever have, right? AI and the general increase in online business content has allowed millions of people to offer services and create products that they don't understand at all. So you need to be using the psychological principle of parasocial interaction. All this means is that you seeing me on camera right now builds trust between us and builds familiarity, which is something that a faceless corporation cannot replicate. There is no B2B company that would perform worse with a video of the founder explaining the offer logistics on the homepage. You want to keep this adaptable so you can re-record it as your offer evolves. For some general rules for your copywriting on your website, you need to make sure that you understand that B2B buyers are under constant pressure to justify their marketing budget decisions to their superiors, whether that's a board of executives, a CEO, whoever it might be, and they need to know the measurable outcomes of your service or product to justify spending money on it, right? When you have simple, specific, and tangible website copy, it's going to reduce the cognitive load that these people are under while they're reading your website. It's going to build trust with them a lot faster, right? You need to speak to results, not credentials. So we increased conversion rates over 100% is always going to be better than we have 15 years of experience. You need to use plain and direct language and avoid jargony stuff like orchestrating full funnel efforts, right? Because that doesn't mean anything. You want to frame testimonials as results achieved, not they were great to work with. And you always want to attach quantifiable metrics to everything, revenue gained, time saved, cost reduced. And on the social proof side, things should be very similar to that. You want to prioritize video testimonials. You can interview your current or past clients on Zoom or have them record, a webcam style review. And you always want to tie these testimonials to hard numbers. So revenue gain, return on investment percentage, time saved. And then for written case studies, you want to highlight the problem before, the process used, and then the result that was achieved. Lastly, here we can talk about analytics and optimization for your website. So once the core is live, we want to make sure that we add tracking, whether that's Google Analytics, Fathom, or a simpler platform, to measure conversion rates and see where our visitors are coming from. Then we want to add heat maps from a software like Hotjar so we can see how far our users are scrolling on our pages and see where they're clicking, so what services they're interested in. Then we want to make sure we start testing headlines and claims because that's going to drive the biggest jumps in conversions, right? So what are some other formats you can try? You can try question-based headlines. So what if you could cut payroll costs by 30% in 60 days? You can try urgency-driven headlines. So stop losing leads when they don't buy in their first visit. And you can try authority-driven headlines. So your product or service trusted by Fortune 500 companies and leading healthcare systems. You can also consider ROI calculators. So this is just a slider that shows potential gains with your service. You would obviously tie these numbers to the average revenue per lead for your industry, right? Now, long story short, fundamentals matter much more than bells and whistles, and if you can communicate your offer clearly, show proof that it works, and make it easy to book, you have solved 90% of the battle. Your website should be pre-selling prospects so well by the time that they book a call with you, they already know that your product or service is very valuable. Clear writing, a sharp video, and proof that you can deliver, everything else is secondary. If you guys found this video valuable, you should leave a like and subscribe and comment what you'd like to see next.